Alright, so here's our second video on the Olympus OMG, or OM20 in some markets. And what I'm going to show you are a few basic ways to operate this camera. First off, we're going to unmount the lens, and then you can see it's a standard bayonet mount. And to remount it, you just line up this red dot with the red dot on the flange and rotate it a little bit less than a quarter turn. And it mounts in the exact same way as a Pentax mount, except that the button for the release is on the lens instead of on the camera. On the opposite side of the release button is the depth of field preview button. You can probably hear the aperture stopping down a little bit. Let's see what we can do about getting it. There you go. You can see it stopping down all the way. Then, so when you're using the camera, if you want to do a depth of field preview, there you go. One of the brilliant things about this interface, and this is very, very well thought out, is that with your fingers, you set the aperture, focus, and you can, in the same grip, set your shutter speed and do a depth of field preview. So when you hold the camera like this, depth of field preview, shutter speed, aperture, and focus. Everything's right there. You just have to move your two fingers a little bit. It's very, very easy and user-friendly to do. It's actually really very well thought out. To load the film loads in this camera like any other 35mm camera. Oops. So you open the back and grab your film cassette, slide it into the film chamber, pull some slack out, and then you don't want to put it all the way through. The grooves, the holes in the take-up spool go all the way through. You don't want to do that. I had the self-timer on, so I actually put that too far. That's what it's supposed to look like. That's about what it's supposed to look like. That probably could even go back a little bit further like that. That's perfect. Advance. Then we're going to tension the cassette. Advance to the first frame, and this camera's ready to start taking pictures now. It's the film is loaded and ready to go. Now, once you've got the film loaded, or before, either way, you want to set the film ISO in the ISO window. So let's pretend that I'm going to use ISO 400 film. Lift and turn up to 400. Now that's all great. If I wanted to use something else, this is kind of fiddly. If I wanted to go higher than that, I'd have to readjust the compensation dial and then go again to get a higher ISO. Likewise, let's say I've taken out this film and now I want to use ISO 50. Well, I can go down to 100. Now I can go down to 50. So that's a different interface than I've ever seen before. Not my favorite feature about this camera, but this camera is very, very well laid out and very well thought out in general. So I think we'll let them get away with that little flaw. Then taking the pictures is just like any other camera as well. So we're going to open up the back here. Try and open up the back. So hitting the shutter release button activates the shutter, and then you advance the film a frame, just like that. And to take double exposures, now to unload the film once you're finished with it, well, that's all right. it doesn't matter, that film's been ruined for a long time anyway. So to unload the film, you finish taking your roll of film. Next thing you want to do is set it to rewind. Actually, I'm using a Pentax lens cap. I don't have a spare OM lens cap right now. So I set it to rewind the film, and I only opened it to show you what's going to happen. Don't open your film until after you've rewound it. If there were actual pictures on this film, they would all be ruined now. So the film back holds the cassette in place like this. Then as you rewind it, or about like that actually, as you rewind it, you're just taking it up back into the cassette, and then I'm going to reuse this for future videos, so I don't want to take it all the way in, but in real life you would want to rewind the film entirely into the cassette. So this camera uses 2 LR44 batteries. What you do is you take a quarter or similar coin. To change the batteries, you just unscrew the battery chamber cover. The batteries pop out, and this camera does not have any kind of case housing in the battery chamber, but you can see it says plus on there. So the pluses are the positive sides are going to line up on the battery door that way, meaning that the flat side goes towards the outside, the side that says LR44 on it. You should be able to read the LR44 when you put it into the camera. Put 2 of them in there. And this chamber cover is a little bit tricky to get lined up. I don't know whether it's just this one or all OMGs. I gotta say, I do kind of chuckle inside every time I say that out loud, the Olympus OMG. There we go. Got it lined up. You don't want to cross-thread these. That's a big problem if you do that. So so you want to take the extra time to get them lined up properly. That's how you change the batteries. Just drop them in and screw the cover back in. This has a flash hot shoe with X sync. So it's got an instantaneous or xenon or electronic flash sync, whatever you want to call it. And it syncs at 1/125th of a second, which is really fast for a horizontal travel shutter curtain. Then when you look through, so I'm going to go grab my macro lens, and we're going to actually take a look through the camera now. Okay, so this is the view through the OMG's viewfinder. And you can see in the middle there is a split ring focusing screen. And surrounding it is a Fresnel glass. And then outside of it, I don't think I can get this, I'm having trouble getting it to show up, but outside of it there's another circle that represents the center-weighted metering area. Now over to the side, we've got a shutter speed indicator. Right now it's indicating 1/30th of a second, and it shows green for your shutter speed. Now if I overexpose, set this to f1.8, manual 1/4 of a second. So if I overexpose, I'll get an over alarm in there. At least I'm supposed to. There it is. A little red light indicating that I'm overexposing. Now if I set it to 1/1000th and f16, I would get a red dot at the bottom saying by the 1 second mark indicating that I am underexposing it. So you can see there my shutter speed and the overexposure indication. And as I change my shutter speed, the shutter speed, it doesn't display the same shutter speed in the same spot. There's a row of shutter speeds, and it goes up through them to indicate what the shutter speed is. You can see I've got a little bit of dirt there too. Alright, so in a nutshell, that's the Olympus OMG. If you guys have any comments, please feel free to leave those below. If you give me a thumbs up, that lets me know I'm on the right track and is very helpful to me. Also, if you have any questions or suggestions for videos, let me know, and if I have the equipment and the know-how, I'd be more than happy to film it. And lastly, you can subscribe by using the subscribe button, and every time I have a new video, you'll find out. And one final thing, guys, thanks for watching.